Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Movie Mortis, where movie madness lives. My name is Nick. Who are you people?
And I'm Drew.
Tim, as
Yeah.
usual.
All right. Today we are going to be talking about Nightcrawler, a 2014 neo-noir movie starring Jake Gyllenhaal, who plays as a stringer recording videos of crime scenes and selling them to the news stations for money. And
hmm
I absolutely love this film, but the rest of these guys do not.
Okay, so here's what I'll say to start off. I think the premise of the movie is great. Like I like the premise of the guy going around filming like car crashes and shit and crime scenes for money. Because I think something that I was thinking about. I know this is something that we'll kind of get into as we go, but something that I think is very apparent is that this movie was made in 2014,
Correct.
and it's hard to not watch this movie and not think about TikTok trends and all this sort of stuff, the messed up things people often try to do on social media in order to get you know money or fame or whatever. I know it's slightly different
Yeah.
because it's like crime scene stuff. Not that
Mhm.
people were above that. um but I also think it's a pretty cool, pretty interesting commentary about the lengths that people will go to as far as exploiting violent crime and tragedy and stuff for their own personal
Yeah.
gain. Um, However, having said that, I think the characters for the most part are super bland, super uninteresting.
I
The main
disagree.
character is an absolutely horrible person who does
Yeah.
not grow or change throughout the story, and I don't like that.
Hmm. I see.
Because it feels like I watched him, I was like, okay, the guy didn't grow or change throughout the story, and his partner died. He got his partner killed, seemingly intentionally. And it's like, well, so what's the point?
Well,
That's a genuine question. What's the
I'll
point?
tell you because the director intended this to be a success story. He even said this is a this is actually a success story about how Lou was kind of dirt and poor, scraping stuff to get by, quite literally, until he finds a business he's good at, and he finds a way to excel in it, and he doesn't become a media mogul, but it's implied he's gonna make a monopoly, not monopoly. He's making it big in L.A. as a stringer, a morally corrupt stringer, a questionable guy. Well, no doubt,
That's
but
putting it mildly.
yeah, I'm not gonna. All right. So I'm not gonna deny that Lou Blue. He is a awful person. He's morally corrupt, but I think he's a very interesting person to watch. I think he's a very
Well,
interesting
I
person.
don't. Like,
Well, why?
here's the
Why
thing.
is?
I like Jake Gyllenhaal as an actor. So like this is nothing against him, but I don't know if it was the direction or if it was the script or whatever, but he just comes off almost as like a robot in a lot of scenes. You know how he talks in a very like almost robotic sort of format.
Yeah, he kind of
Just look
does.
at how he just look at how he talks to that news director lady.
Yeah, I mean, he acts
Talks
like he just read from a success book. I mean, think of the beginning where he's trying to sell
he
the.
he he sounds like he's reading from a teleprompter.
Well, yeah. Here's the thing. Like Lou, he does whatever he can to try and get by. He's a very opportunistic individual. Where like, cause think of the beginning where he tries selling the scrap to this yard sale, and then he's like, "Oh, can I get a job, please?" And he's like trying to act like this up and coming rookie. Like, if you want a lottery, you got to make the money to buy a ticket. Like, here's the thing, like Lou, he is a little inhuman, and he's trying to act human, and there's scenes where he's actually trying to, where like he sees the news lady talking, Nina talking to a director.
Mhm.
He's observing, he's looking like, okay, so I need to do this and do that. Like he looks like he just, because he even said he does a lot of learning online, so he probably just googled the stuff like, okay, I gotta act like this and gotta say it's like, I have a feeling if Lou was not as smart, he'd just be looking at from a piece of paper like, I want this job, or if you need to make the money, you got to buy a ticket. Because, yeah, because I think that adds this inhuman, uncanny valley quality to him, and because I've seen this three times, twice by myself, once with Tim. Which Tim, we should actually get to you. What are your thoughts on this movie?
Just basically what Drew said. It was just it's like, what the hell is this? Like, this is, I mean, everyone's an asshole, and especially Lou. Like, I'm amazed that you even find him relatable.
I didn't say he
So
was relatable.
even
I didn't say he was relatable.
yeah,
I said he was
is
interesting to
well is
watch. Walter
well,
White
do
is
you
interesting
think?
to watch, but I don't think he's relatable. Like,
Well, do you think he's relatable on any level? I mean, success and despite his questionable behavior. So you
well, he's a
I mean,
huge go getter. He's a huge go getter. Like he's desperately trying to make it. Like and he like at first he tries getting a job with the Scrapman. Then he tries getting a job with the other Nightcrawler, and then he tries to get into the news station. Like he's a big go getter. Again,
yeah,
this is the director said this was essentially a success story.
Yeah, Tim, I think you might have misheard Nick slightly. He said, you know, I don't think Nick relates to him. I think it's more that Nick, do you think that Lou is like just entertaining to watch?
Yeah, he
One of
was.
those kind of
I think he was
characters.
pretty entertaining to watch. Um, I think
That's
he was
not
pretty.
that's not the same. That's not the same as relating to somebody. Relating to somebody would be like, oh, I get what this guy's going through.
Yeah,
And I don't think any of us or anybody can relate to him, to Lou,
yeah.
because of what a piece of shit he is.
And what's really interesting too,
And, and
a lot of people like to point out that
and
Lou. I'm sorry, who wants to talk first?
okay, I'll say this because I do feel like it is. I should disclose this. Look, the fact that Lou is a terrible person isn't necessarily what gets me. It's the fact that I don't find him interesting. He comes off as a robot most of the time, who's entirely in it for himself, with complete disregard for everybody around him, especially Riz Ahmed's character, who was like the one character I fucking like in the movie, by the way. Um, and 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 he doesn't grow or change throughout the story in really any way. He starts off as a shitty person and he ends off as a really powerful shitty person. You get what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, but I
So
think
it
that
makes it seems like, so it's like, if there's what am I supposed to take from this movie? That's a genuine question. What am I supposed to take from this movie aside of just being entertained, which I
well, I
wasn't.
mean, I think you're supposed to take how often how because the movie has an ultimate message about how corrupt the news can be and how it often glorifies violence and how because here's the thing I told mentioned this with Tim after we watched it I think this movie has a lot to show like how we as viewers viewers of news will often consume violence and how people often try and sell violence because Lou ends up giving success to the station by selling footage of what is essentially violence, and and eventually eventually his habitats start blowing off on Nina, which even though he hits some he's very manipulative to Nina, but she eventually becomes Lou, and and also well, like I said, he's trying to sell violence, and he's it's the whole movie like even though it's a success story, and I want to implore that more, but there's a huge dark undertones lying to it. It's like it's a dark version of a rags to riches story. Like this is a morally incorrupt doing morally incorrupt things, but he climbs to the tower. I mean, I don't know if this is the intended message, but a lot of people believe that one of the themes in this movie is that success often involves doing very morally incorrupt stuff. Now, I don't believe that, and I like to believe that, but I think Nightcrawler shines a light on this very dark thing that happens.
Well, I do agree in the sense that it does shine a light on what you talked about as far as like people selling violence and stuff for money. And
Yeah.
I was thinking about this too while watching this movie. I was like, because the new news media for the last couple of decades or so, probably even going back to even as far as like the 60s and 70s, has always kind of treated violence as sort of a spectacle,
Mm-hmm.
you know and so this is kind of a bit more of a different take on that, where it's like that spectacle of violence is what they're selling, and they're making, I don't want to say selling, but like that's what they're buying and they're making money off of, and broadcasting to the world,
Mm-hmm.
with
Yeah,
complete disregard for the potential real life consequences, and glorifying any of these people, or or anything like that. And so in that sense, I think the movie did an okay job at doing that. I just don't. Here's the thing: if they wanted to make a movie about how the news media can corrupt somebody, how about actually having Lou start off as a decent guy, but then as he gets further into it, as he starts to climb the ladder, start to lose more of his morality as he goes on, as he's forced
Huh.
to broadcast to video to film more egregious things. Like maybe he can start off with like drug deals or car crashes or whatever, and then move on to things like murder and home invasions like you see at the end, or
Mm-hmm.
and police chases and all that stuff, and actually kind of have that progression to where it's like, yeah, as he's doing more and more stuff, he is losing his morality, and he's becoming a bit more of a robot as he goes on. You can start by having Jake Gyllenhaal. If I was the director, I'd be like, hey, you're this guy who's, he's like, let's say he's a well-meaning person with a personality. But then as the movie goes on, you can kind of have him start to be more, as more of a robot who's just in it for his own financial gain.
Hmm. That's an interesting point. I don't know. I don't know if that is a very interesting point you bring up, because it sounds like you wanted actual development. You wanted more character growth and development.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you didn't want like a simple you didn't want a simple
because
rags to
then it
riches story or anything.
because it would have made the rags to riches part, the darker part, more impactful to the viewer if it's like, oh, that's actually changed somebody, rather than just, hey, let's watch this piece of shit go
It's not a
from
piece of
a
shit.
poor piece of let's go watch this. Or then what do you want me to call him then? He's a guy
Uh,
who literally
oh,
films
if I were talking about the
dead
movie, I'm sorry.
bodies.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm
He's a
sorry.
guy
I'm
who
sorry.
films dead bodies, freshly dead bodies, and broadcast, gives them to the news station, to the broadcast, to the city. How is he not a piece of shit? Anyways,
I
so
misunderstood you. I misunderstood you. I'm sorry. I
okay,
misunderstood you.
so so yeah, let's watch this fucking horrible piece of shit go from a poor piece of horrible piece of shit to an extremely successful piece of shit. It's like, great. Why did I invest 2 hours of my life into watching this?
Well, to see if he can even get away, for starters. To see if he can even get away.
Which he
May,
does, kind of.
well, I didn't know if he would get away. I thought maybe he'd finally get caught by the police, or I mean, because here's the thing: the police are trying to investigate him, but they don't have any real evidence on him. They don't
Yeah,
really have any real evidence, and not to mention, even if they did, the news station will cover his ass.
yeah. I mean, the news station did cover his ass. The two detectives came in to the news station at the end, and the Nino was like, "Hey, get the hell out of here! It's news property. We're not giving it
Huh.
to you. We're not giving the videotape to you. We're not
Yeah.
giving you the footage."
I think the only time Lou has ever shown humanity, and again, was probably the mirror scene. Like, two of my favorite scenes in the movie was the mirror scene where he learned he was late to a freaking late to a crime scene. Someone got there first after he told him off, and he shakes the mirror, gets angry. Like, a part of me wonders, is that's kind of Lou showing his true self. Just kind of a monster. Like,
But
he
then,
really does want to hurt somebody,
but
but he
then,
knows he can't. Also,
but then,
fun fact. Did you know Jake Gyllenhaal, the mirror breaking was completely improvised, and when after it broke, he injured his hand.
all right.
Yeah,
I mean, I've always respected Jake Gyllenhaal, and I still do.
yeah. Okay, anyways, but yeah, but I'm sorry, I can't remember where I
Okay,
was
okay.
going,
So
but
here's so here you were talking about the mirror scene.
yeah,
So here's the thing about that mirror scene, that you get that little glimpse of humanity, but then it never comes back again. It's dropped entirely,
yeah.
pretty much, unless you want to count that scene where he tells Rick that he's going to give him a raise. But even then, that's sort of thrown out like two scenes later,
Well,
anyways.
here's the
When
here's the
he's
thing. I'm starting to question if he even has any humanity at all, because one of my favorite quotes in the movie is when he's on a dinner date with Nina, and he says there are certain benefits to being alone. You get to do all the things you want, learn all the things you want, but you never get to go out and have nice dinners like this. Now, here's the thing, Tim. All right, here's the thing. I don't relate to Lou, but I do relate to that thing he said. But that being said, I don't relate to Lou. Okay, are we clear on that? I do not relate to Lou. I just like that thing he said. All right. Do you understand what I'm saying?
What, the whole being alone thing?
Yes. Here's the thing. I like that quote, but I don't relate to Lou. I second guessed myself like several times when replaying that in my head. It's like, does he genuinely feel that, or is he just once again trying to manipulate Nina?
I kind of, Tim, not to cut you off, but I kind of read that. I read just about everything that Lou did as basically him manipulating people,
Yeah.
even with Riz Ahmed's character Rick. It's like it just seems like this dude just has manipulator written all over him,
Yeah,
and it's
kind
like
of does.
it seems like every single thing he did was like to manipulate people to get what he wants, so that he can fill his own pockets.
I think the thing is though, he didn't become this manipulator till like later in the film. Like he first needed that power and influence before he could. Like, because even when he tries to talk to the construction worker at the thing, he's like, "Hey, give me a job. I'm a good worker." He's like, "No, f off." And then he tries to ask the Nightcrawler, the first Nightcrawler guy whose name I forgot. He's like, "Hey, can I get a job?" "No, f off." It's like, and mind you, like he's very sloppy on his first gig of filming videos. Like people tell him to fuck off, and I don't know if the news station took the first bit of footage out of pity, but yeah, took it out of pity. But the only person he ever really had power over was Rick, who was what was that guy's name again?
Riz Ahmed.
Riz Ahmed's character Rick. The only time he ever really had power was over Rick, because every time else he never did have power. And I'm not justifying his shit actions. What he did was absolute shit. And I actually do want to talk about Rick a little bit more, but
yeah, I do too. But first, I want to say, since we're transitioning to Rick, one little thing. When I was watching the movie today, and I saw Riz Ahmed's name in the credits, I'm like, "Holy shit! It's Bodhi from Rogue One. He's in this movie. Let's go."
which character was he in Rogue One?
Bodhi, the cargo pilot. The cargo pilot.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've only seen Rogue One once. It's been forever, but
Hey! Star Wars month is a month away, so we'll get to that then.
I thought we were doing the original Skywalker saga before.
Well, we are, but we might do Rogue One and some of the spinoffs too if you want to. We can discuss that later. Just go back to Nightcrawler.
Anyways, so one thing I want to add on to Lou, what I think is really interesting is that everyone's described him as a coyote more than like a robot, because he's always hungry and he's only looking to get whatever he can take for himself. In fact, Jake Gyllenhaal even only ate salads and biked on the set, thus losing a lot of weight to get that little starving kind of deal with Lou. That's how people describe him. And I think the coyote especially fits since he works in the night. He does his work in the night, sniffing out whatever he could use to get footage.
Okay, I see that. How about a coyote robot? A robot Odie.
Robot Odie. Sounds like a Ross Garfield character. I'm sorry, what were you saying, Tim?
More like a vicious shark, if you ask me. So.
Oh yeah, that's true. But
yeah,
difference is he's not filming shark attacks or crimes at sea, but you know that's definitely one way to put a land shark.
Maybe he can start doing that in Nightcrawler 2 if they ever make the sequel.
I don't know, man. Like maybe there's an idea for a TV series in Nightcrawler, but I don't know if it needs a sequel, man. Like
it doesn't.
Yeah, at least you can agree with that. Well,
yeah.
Well, I guess now here's the thing. My overall thoughts on Lou. I do think he's interesting to watch, but he's definitely a very, very bad person. Like there's a Childish Gambino lyric that I think perfectly sums up Lou Boom, and that is, "You hate me, but you will respect me."
Well, I don't respect him.
I don't really respect him either, but man, his escapades were very interesting to watch. And one of the scenes I wanted to mention was when he's in the crime house scene, the shooting house where everyone just got killed. Like
Yeah, the home
Like it
invasion
felt
house at the
tense.
end.
Well, not because he was going to die, but the police could have shown us like, oh, why are you responsible? Get the hell out of here! Or oh, are you the shooter? Arrest this guy! Like he made it before the police, and he also he managed to like not get seen by the shooters. So and he's in
Hmm.
that house. It just feels so ominous and empty. Like yeah,
It
it's
does,
not
yeah.
and just all the dead bodies around and here's the thing, you don't actually see what's in the house. All the focus is on Lou and his camera and his exploring. We only ever really see what really happened in the house was when we see the news station, and we have that same reaction as the newspaper. It's like, oh god, I hope the baby's not in there. Oh, thank god the baby's not in there. Like I
Yeah,
love that scene. That is a tense scene.
I actually do think that's a very well constructed sequence. Like I really do.
Thank you.
Like I really like the whole part. Almost, it just feels very. I don't want to use the word raw, but it feels very like real, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because there's barely any lighting. He's just a dude with a camera going in. I think it's a well constructed sequence.
Okay.
I agree. I agree with that.
uh I wanted to go to
I
another
ju-
scene first, but Tim, you had something to say?
Yeah, I find it. It is. I given that Lou like filming all those bodies and he didn't even wince once. Like like he's I don't know what it like. He's just so innocent to these people decimally and affected by it at all. So I mean that sounds like a snuff film gig that he's doing pretty much. So that's but don't you think that's a bit chilling, given that
Yeah.
he has zero reaction to all the gore and gruesomeness that's going on? Like,
Yeah, it kind of is pretty chilling. Like it is a little chilling to think about. Like he doesn't really have a reaction. Like he doesn't even have like he has a very sick reaction to Rick's death too. And real quick, I just remembered something before we get to Rick. But trust me, I do want to get to Rick. One of the scene I did rewatch was it was when he went the car drive when he got there before the police. His first real gig, his first real success when he goes to that car accident. Like when he moves the body, like the music is more uplifting, and he goes to stand on a hill raising the camera, and he actually has another moment of humanity where he's like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest shot ever. Is it a messed up emotion? Yes, given the context, but I think that's really nice because like he struck gold, but it's just like, oh, Lude, you fucked with a body, not literally, but you literally just moved
Yeah,
the corpse
I
just to make
was
it look nice.
I was literally just about to say, it's like, wasn't there that one scene where he literally fucked around with police evidence by moving a dead body?
Yeah,
It's
he
like,
did,
bro,
all for the sake of a perfect shot.
you're gonna get your DNA all over that body, and the police are gonna think that you did it or were involved somehow.
Yeah. So, fun fact: the director actually went on a ride along with several real life LA stringers, um, to get down the accuracy, not the accuracy, but to get down what it feels like for this movie. And here's the thing: a lot of stringers say always wear a bulletproof vest because you might get shot at.
Yeah,
But for some reason, Lou
makes
didn't
sense.
do that. Lou did not bring a bulletproof vest. I don't know if maybe that was his hubris trying to be like, "Oh, I'm invincible," or maybe just again, Drew. I know you don't like movies being realistic, or maybe it's just something they didn't think about putting on. I mean, because like you said, it's like you said too.
Maybe it's something you shouldn't think too hard into.
Really,
Maybe it's
because
one of those
I
details
think
you
about
shouldn't
this movie
think
a
hard in
lot. Like
detail.
I think about this movie a lot, like what it has to say and what it unpacks and what it
Well, it
says.
also could
Because
have been. Well, it also could have been just a creative decision because they might have because movies will tend to have very specific wardrobe uh, things where it's like a character will need to be dressed a certain way in a certain scene, and maybe if that was just an artistic choice on their part, hey, let's just not put him in a bulletproof vest. Let's just, for whatever reason, it could be to show his hubris. It could be a number of things, but I think it could have been an intentional choice on their part to not have him wear a bulletproof vest and have him wear a normal suit or something to represent something. I mean, I'm not sure what it is. Like I said, it could be his hubris. It could be a number of different things. But I think it
yeah,
was. I don't think it was them just not paying enough attention to detail. I think it was probably just an intentional artistic decision for any number of reasons.
yeah. Yeah, and again, I think there definitely were moments where, like, why is he not wearing rubber gloves when he's like toying with evidence just for the sake of a perfect shot? But like I said, he didn't even wear a bulletproof vest, which is what most stringers do. And
Yeah.
I guess another fun fact I can bring about this movie is that did you know there, like, I forgot what decade, but I want to say, like, back when black and white photos were still a thing. There was a famous photographer nicknamed Ouija, and he'd actually take photos of crime scenes and accidents and sell them to tabloid newspapers.
Yeah, that sounds right. I've definitely seen in various YouTube videos and stuff. I've definitely seen old crime scene photos and stuff like that. So
Yeah, and
that sounds
eventually
that
that
sounds
that
very
that guy Ouija, he would
real.
actually become a director. He would become a cinematographer on Doctor Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
Well, that's something.
Yeah, but yeah, that's one of the influences for this movie was Ouija, the photographer who, back in, like, I guess back in black and white photo times, he'd take photos of emergencies and crime scenes.
Mm.
But anyways, I don't know what else. I'm trying to think what else I can add on to this, because I think, like you said, Drew, do you think it would have been nice, would if this improved the movie for you? Would you like to know Lou's backstory? Like, why is he this way? What was his upbringing like? Why is he? Would that would have made it
Mm,
better if we had more?
maybe a little.
Prob-
It just depends on how they reveal it and what that backstory is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and also where would they have in the movie as it is as the final version is, where would they have time to put that in?
That's true. I like to think that, in a way, because
And
I
make it
think
relevant to the plot too.
I think in a way, Lou's psychopathy does kind of does kind of reflect how he often gets rejected. Because, mind you, the construction worker, he turned down Lou, even though Lou said, "Hey, I can work for you. Let me work for you." And then, of course, he got turned out of the old Nightcrawler, saying, "I can work for you. Let me work for you." And then, of course, Nina's very aggressive towards him. So I'm not again. I think in a way there was some things that did push him, because, like, if people were a lot more nicer to him, maybe he wouldn't be a complete psychopath. And okay, again, I'm not sympathizing for Lou. Okay, I'm not gonna. But just a part of me wonders: did is Lou creating society, or did
remember
society create
what?
Lou?
Do
Because
you remember what?
um, it's implied Lou's company grows, and that, because when I first saw the ending scene, I was a little shaken up. I was on to be like, oh shit, he's gonna do more terrible things. He might, but it makes me wonder. Will he just use he might just use Rick as another stepping stone, or he might get another intern killed. Who knows? It gets me
Yeah,
thinking.
well, it's probably both. I mean, I don't think he ever intended to actually promote Rick or do anything. I think he was, going back to the whole thing of manipulation. I think he fully intended to just use Rick as a stepping stone and maybe replace him with someone else.
Yeah,
Because
that
I
makes
think
sense.
he seems to be really one of those guys that really likes to, especially later on in the movie, he likes to feel in control and be powerful. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so.
Yeah, he kind of does. Oh, where'd Tim go?
I think he went to go
Tim
throw something away, I guess. I don't
Tim
know.
has left the room. I wondered if he had things to say. I wanted to hear his introspective on things. Jeez. But I guess in the meantime, we can go on the Rick.
Yeah, like I said, I liked Rick. I thought he was probably the only decent character in the movie because he feels like he's the one character in the movie that actually I think to me feels like a real person.
Yeah,
He feels
he
like
does.
he seems like a real person who's just kind of stuck in a city situation. He seems that he sees this guy who's offering him this sort of opportunity. It's not, a seemingly great opportunity, but it's like it's still something.
Yeah,
He seems like a guy who's just trying to get by and just trying to to make something of himself.
I like to
And
see
you
Rick
know,
as
he
like a. Sorry, you first.
and he just seems like one of those guys that just sort of caught in this terrible situation.
Yeah, I like to see Rick as this, like, he's like this innocent person with more of a moral backbone. Like, he doesn't really question the crime scenes very much. He only starts questioning it when like when I think I might be misremembering, but I think he starts questioning things when Lou kind of cuts the brakes on his rival, the old Nightcrawler. I can't remember his name, but like after he kind of bragged to Lou, saying, "Oh, I got here first, and I'm expanding, baby." Like, and then he's like, "Oh, he's one of our own." It's like, well, not anymore. And he kind of just, I think that was like one of the times he finally starts questioning Lou. And
Yeah,
and
yeah.
uh Yeah, and I think another fit. I don't want to know if Lou essentially toys with Rick because he sees him as essentially an asset, and the only time he ever gets tired of him is when he finally pushes him back and threatens him,
Yeah.
justifyingly so, since he misunderstood the deal.
Mm-hmm.
It does make me wonder if Rick didn't push back against Lou, would he maybe still be alive?
Probably not.
Because in a way, because like I said, this is the part where I say, did society make Lou, or did Lou make society? Because in a way, Rick threatens Lou by saying, "Oh, I'll turn you into the police. I'll say you've held on to this evidence and toyed with it if you don't pay me." So, did Rick try and become Lou? Is this another instance where he tries to become the master?
Yeah, you know, yeah, I see that.
But then again, like I'm not, yeah, and then eventually in the end, he gets Rick killed, and I don't I get Lou sadly doesn't show. I wish he did, but when I learned he did, I'm like, well, fuck you too, Mr. Bloom. Fuck you too.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, you have to wonder if that was his plan all along to get him killed so that he didn't have to share any of his profits with him
Hmm,
or whatever money he made from selling this footage,
fair
you
enough.
know.
Like I'm pretty sure
Tr-
he.
Trust, trust me. I've seen enough crime movies to know how greedy people are and what people will do to
Mm-hmm,
fucking not share their cut of the take, if you will.
mm-hmm. Because I
All right.
feel like as much as this movie tries to portray as a success, the dark overlayers kind of start really showing a lot because I mean not only does Rick try and become Lou but fails. Lou's influence ends up spreading on both the news station and Nina because every time he's in the news station, the other morally correct character is this one news director going, "Oh, we can't show this footage. It's inhuman. It's dangerous." It's like, "Oh, but it'll get us views." Like he slowly starts getting shut down in favor of Lou. In fact, the station even recognizes Lou. Like in the very end, after Rick gets killed after his last sting, they're going, "Hey Lou, how you doing?" Like he's acting friendly with everybody, and then eventually,
I just sort of because I remember when one of the first scenes with Nina, the news director, she just seemed like she didn't particularly care much for like the law or morals or anything like that, even before Lou showed up. Because remember in the beginning, it's like the news was still showing footage they got from other Nightcrawler people,
hmm,
you know. So it's like I don't think that really makes any sense. Hold on one second.
oh no, all right, well, you're well, Drew's away. Tim, did you have anything to say?
Agreeing with Drew,
Yeah.
mostly agreeing with Drew on you know most things, but Drew, you're back. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
welcome
yeah.
back.
Sorry, I just had to turn my light on. It was getting really dark in here, as you might probably see.
Yeah, I was like, well,
As you
what's going
guys
on with
saw.
Drew's light? Did the bulb burn out or something?
No, it's I just didn't have my light on. So
Hmm. It's a
because when we
shame, but
started, because when we started, the sun was still out.
oh, that makes sense. But I wanted to ask this again. Did Mina? Do you think Mina kind of bumped Lou into getting more sick and sadistic, or do you think Lou was always this sick and sadistic?
Will was always this sick and sadistic. There's
Yeah.
no doubt in my mind.
Would you say Nina's an enabler?
Yes,
Because she's always accepting crimes and stuff. And then once
yes,
Lou finds this out, he tries. Well, I think in a way, when the fact that she enabled this kind of bought, cause she also bought this on herself because it's implied they have sex, but it's never on screen.
yeah. Well, when there was that one dinner scene with Nina and Lou, I was like, I swear to God, they're not going to shoehorn some romantic subplot into this shit, are we?
Hmm. Yeah, but it kind of makes me wonder, sometimes when you demand for graphic and shocking stuff, you get more than what you bargained for.
I will say though, there is that one line I think at the end of that dinner scene, not the dinner scene, but the at the end when Lou is talking to Nina about the things that he wants. There's that one line that I think cements it for me that Lou is an absolute, just completely unforgivable scumbag. And he
Mm-hmm.
says that you do whatever you want for me when I visit you at your apartment. Remember
Yeah.
that line?
Yeah,
Like I
yeah, that
I
I
don't
forgot
think
how.
I need to explain to you what that implies.
Yeah, I know.
Like
I
dude, like
I
that is honestly the moment where like the movie lost me for good. Like I'm like,
hmm,
fuck you. I'm like, fuck you. I don't want to fucking deal with it. I don't want to fucking like
hmm,
I hate to keep
What?
repeating myself, but it's like I hate to keep repeating myself, but it's like, what's the fucking point to this? Like, because if look, I get the whole success rags to riches sort of success story thing, but a success story thing, but it's like, is the movie's message the movie's message like, well, you got to be a sadistic piece of shit in order to be successful? I know I'm oversimplifying it a little bit, but it's like, uh, I mean, you get what I'm saying, though. It's like, what is like this dude is just an unforgivable person, and it's like how do you want me to feel? Movie, like, how do you want me to feel? Everybody in this movie except for Rick is a horrible person.
hmm. Hey, uh,
I mean, you
yeah,
get what I'm saying, though. You get what I'm saying about that line, though, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's
I
it's
don't
it's,
think
it's a
I need.
very despicable and deplorable line, and
Yes,
it's very messed up. But I think what also adds to it is that the fact we never see it on screen. I think it's a great choice. We don't know what they're doing
yes,
behind closed doors. We don't know if it's like hardcore, just grabbing each
yeah,
other, or I know one person said maybe he's just sitting laying on her lap and she's reading him bedtime stories.
sure, sure, buddy,
Yeah, just
sure.
no, but I yeah, but like I again, Lou is very opportunistic. So he'll take whatever he can get if it means there's a benefit to him. And I think the one time it really does get in over his head is when the police visit him, but by luck would have it he gets saved. And of course when he tells when the old Nightcrawler, again, I forgot his name, I feel like a fake fan, when the old Nightcrawler comes by saying, "Hey Lou, I like what you're doing. Come join me." And he's like, and he says, "I feel like," and I'm gonna try and quote it here. "I feel like grabbing you by the ears and screaming, 'I'm not fucking interested.'" That's like kind of like, "Oh, you went over your head, buddy. I'm growing my business, and you're just one guy with some rando." And thus we get that mirror scene.
Yeah.
I do think Lou is not really punished a lot aside from those minor hiccups. And not to mention,
Well,
Nina
again, well,
even
again,
shit
well,
talks him too. Nina even shit talks him afterwards as well, which I think also contributes to that mirror scene where he just explodes and gets angry.
yeah.
So I feel, Drew, would you feel like would this movie be better if if there was a lot more consequence than just like, oh, your competitor actually got the better footage and now your boss just shit talks you?
Well, again, going back to what I was kind of saying at the beginning of this, it's not necessarily that the guy doesn't get punished. It's that I don't find him to be particularly interesting. I mean, yes, yeah, having him, now that I think about it, having him be punished in a way might actually have helped his helped with some sort of character arc or some sort of growth, even if it might have been pretty minor or whatever. But it's like, I don't think it would have made the experience that much better because I feel like Lou is a pretty I'll be honest. I feel like he's a pretty. I don't think he's that deep of a character, to be perfectly honest with you. He's just a bad person looking out for himself, trying to fill his own pockets with, and he's just using the footage and the footage of crime scenes and his camera and all that to to make his uh to make his fortune, so to speak.
Hmm.
And it's like I
Yes,
don't
and
think
that's with
there's.
all the,
Sorry.
What did you say, Tim?
at the expense of people's lives, of course. I mean, he literally just engineered, that restaurant massacre. By the
Yeah,
way, you
that
didn't
was a
notice that?
little
Yeah.
fucked up, but it was also tense as well. Because Lou could have also been killed. Lou could have also been killed.
And it would have made, and it
Lou
would
keeps
have
putting
made,
himself in
and
more
you
and
know
more
what,
situations.
and you know what, and you know what, the movie would have been better had Luke been killed in that scene, and Rick got away, and maybe he could make the money from the footage, you
And
know?
maybe Rick could become the new Lou.
Yeah, and I think that would have been better because Rick actually, again, like I was telling you a few minutes ago, feels like a real person with real motivations and real wants and desires and a real sort of personality rather than just the robot in human skin.
I think what's kind
and,
of interesting about
and he
Rick is
actually
that he's actually
and he seems like he actually, at least for a good chunk of the movie, actually for most of the movie, he seems like he actually has a moral compass. And it could have been interesting to see him. Maybe he kind of loses that moral compass a little bit.
I think he kind of does lose
If
that
if
moral
if
compass a
if
little
if
bit
if
because
if Lou gets killed in that shootout in the restaurant, and then maybe he decides, you know what, I'm gonna fuck Lou. I'm gonna take this footage for myself, and I'm gonna be the one to make money off of it and start a career in the news business or whatever, regardless of my morals.
fair enough. But I think in a way, Rick's moral compass actually becomes lost because he doesn't care about he doesn't care that you're just going out filming police accidents, whatever. It's only I think by then he starts questioning like the tampering of evidence and then like the shooting of the not the shooting but the car crash of his old Nightcrawler buddy. He's like, bro, that was one of ours. I think in a way he did start trying adopting Lou. He tried starting adopting Lou after he found out he kind of made a bad deal with Lou. He made a bad deal with Lou, and he's like, "No, I want more money." It's like, "Hey, you already said your thing. We can renegotiate later." No, I want more money, or else I'm going to report you to the police. Like, it's
I
kind
will
of
say,
like
I will say though, that point is kind of undercut by the fact that after they team up, if you see, there's that one montage that they're, doing the files and all that. If you
yeah,
pay attention to the file names, it's things like toddlers being stabbed or things like that. And it's like, well, if Rick is already helping this guy, it's like the him losing sort of this whole moral thing doesn't make sense because you were already okay with that at the beginning, and all of a sudden you get yourself in danger, and all of a sudden it's like it's a problem. It's like that doesn't make any sense.
okay, all right. Well, I don't know. That's fair, but I don't know how much filming Rick eventually did because Lou essentially started promoting Rick. He gave a promotion to Rick once he finally decided to get like recording and stuff, such as the restaurant shooting, and then eventually he's like, "All right, you're promoted. Go, let's help me film some stuff. Stand over there. You might get shot. Who knows?"
Well, to be fair, Rick was sort of just the driver at the beginning, so
Yeah,
I
he
get what
was
you're
just a
saying
driver.
there.
He didn't really witness anything, and so I guess maybe I don't know if it's the house or like the traffic crash where he gets that perfect shot, or better yet, the part where his old Nightcrawler buddy dies.
Yeah.
So, Lou is kind of like a disease in a way because like his influence wears off on Rick. He gets enabled by Nina, who eventually starts taking a liking to Lou, even if Lou did some very despicable shit. And then eventually, by the end, he has his own company going, "All right, gang, let's go film some fucked up shit." And
Yeah.
so it's like yeah, he was like the perfect candidate for this system, a very opportunistic, ego driven guy. I mean, I the only thing I admire about him is his opportunistic go getter attitude. That's the only thing I admire about him. The rest of his character is kind of deplorable.
Yeah.
Like like there's nothing wrong with taking a chance and seeking an opportunity and being optimistic, but it's another where just like I don't know, where you just start tampering police evidence. You start like trying to manipulate your boss into sex, or
Hmm.
yeah, and again, like he is kind of observant, but he's observant in like a robotic way, where it's like okay, because like he also hears how one of the newscasters wears a tie on a certain day, and he uses that information at the end of the film, where he's like, hey, you got the tie on, what's going on? Because again, and again, this movie makes me think a lot. It makes me ask a lot of questions. Like, if Lou got a decent paying job that wasn't just stealing things and selling them, do you think maybe he would have maybe gained a little more humanity and morality, or maybe maybe he was destined to always be the psychopath, the inhuman psychopath coyote, the always starving coyote. Because it's never
Well,
implied he
I
has
don't
a
know.
job. It's never implied he has a job. Like, we only see him stealing fence and selling it, and then trying to sell a bike, trying to sell a bike to get a camera, but then before pawning it off. So, the kind of, again, did Lou make society, or did society make Lou? But maybe I think the answer lies in the society was too perfect. Not society. The gig economy was too perfect for Lou, but he was just an evil force who slipped right into a glove. And rather than try and be moral and cover good stuff, he covers the bad shit because he knows there's a market, and he knows fear makes money.
Like I kind of said at the beginning of this, I think that this whole condemnation of the news media system and this particular concept for a film, I think is great. It's just that I think it could have been more, you know.
I think
It could have been more had Lou at the beginning of the movie expressed had some more semblance of humanity. And like I just think it would have been, I just think this movie is a lot of wasted potential, if you ask me, because I think
I
the point could have been made much more, could have had much more emotional impact if you see the effects the corruption from news media has on an individual person if you had Lou start out as, 'cause since this entire movie is basically told from his perspective, it would be a lot more interesting when it would have had much more of an emotional impact if at the beginning of the movie Lou was, I'm not gonna say he should have been like a good person necessarily, just a person who maybe kind of like Rick in a way where like he's not really, he was not really sure what to do with his life or whatever, and he slowly becomes, maybe he has somewhat of a moral compass, but then maybe as the film goes on and he's just getting more and more dangerous, he's getting more and more into this, is when he starts to lose his humanity, and you see that corruption take place in almost in real time. I think the message of the movie about the state of, you know news media and all that and sort of stuff, I think would have had a much more emotional impact on the viewer. You've been able to see that effect on an individual rather than having this thing where he just slips into this system that's kind of already shitty. It's like, well, a shitty person coming into a shitty system. It's like, well, you know,
I think one of the things with like rags to riches success stories that they start off all rough and jagged, and they don't exactly perfect it. Because Lou, when he starts night crawling, he doesn't do a good job. People tell him to fuck off. He can't understand what's going on. And the only time his first real big success is when he goes to not the shooting house where like the police don't arrive, but the police are already there. He sneaks into the crime set and adjusts the photos, like, oh, this is a perfect shot.
mhm.
I think that's when he finally finds out a good thing, and then more obstacles come along where it's like, oh, we actually have to go before the police, and oh, this rival Nightcrawler is actually getting there before us, or yeah, or the police are onto our asses. I think maybe would you have liked it more if the obstacles were a lot more prevalent, Drew?
Like, what do you mean by that?
Like I mentioned earlier, in the beginning, Lou he gets pushed down and turned down, and when he starts night
Mhm.
crawling, like even the pawn shop owner turns and they're like, no, I'm not gonna buy your shitty bike. I don't care if you hiked it to Mount Fuji. It's like, oh no, let's pawn it then instead. And when he starts trying to film things, he gets told to fuck off by the police, and that or other night crawlers show up before him, other stringers. And then
I mean,
eventually,
I,
when he finally
I
gets a
mean, I
good
guess
shot,
I already feel like there's a decent amount of that in the movie.
okay. So it so it sounds like you just wish Lou was like a more of a different character or had a different upstart.
Yes.
Hmm.
If he was actually more like a real person. Because that's, I think the real problem with Lou is that he just doesn't, to me, he just doesn't feel like a real person. He feels, I don't want to say like a cartoon character, but he feels very like, he feels very almost one notey, if that
He
makes
is
any
very.
sense.
He doesn't feel very. He does feel very robotic. Like he doesn't really talk to a lot of people. When he does, he tries to act like this business salesman.
Yeah.
Um, and again, I even had the question at one point if underneath Lou there was a genuine human. Like the scenes where he's laughing at the TV, I thought he was just kind of more like sad laughing because he was watching he was lonely, but at the same time I'm like, wait, no, he's practicing laughing. And I'm gonna be honest, I might have been tricked by Lou. Maybe I'm just dumb. But not for the reasons you might think, viewer. The same goes with you, Drew. Just because I'm not good at math doesn't mean I'm good at analyzing movies.
It's okay because you cannot possibly be worse at math than me, so it's okay.
Good, good. But but yeah, I genuinely I had to second guess myself like on rewatches like, oh, is Lou just sad and alone and that's why he hates people? Because he even says to Rick in like before the final sting is just like Rick says that's your problem. You don't understand people. And he's like, well, what if it's not because I don't understand people? It's because I just don't like them. It's like is Lou misunderstood or is he just a psychopath? Like
I
he's
think
been
I think they probably could have delved a little deeper into that rather than just having it be that one exchange between those two characters.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because it's like
Yeah.
it's not really explored all that much. His psyche it's not really explored all that much
Yeah, we don't really
in,
see his
in terms of
psyche
like
and
why he hates people or you know I mean outside of pure greed, what is greed and power? What's Lou's motivation? And you know what? I kind of want to extend that. I
my
want to.
guess is to
And
get
I
out of
also
his
want to.
scrapping gig, his
Yeah,
thieving and scrapping gig. Like it's
yeah.
not it's it,
And I also want to extend that question out to the news director too. Like, what is her motivation beyond greed and
to
ratings?
become the most watched station in on TV.
All
Because
right.
she even mentions to Lou, oh, well, this plane crash is better. Like this is before the mirror scene. Like this plane crash is way better than this than that random ass traffic crash, drunk driving under the influence crash that you gave me. Like she's trying to become more sensational to grow her network, and that's why she keeps enabling Lou. Is because like she even says you have a good eye or bring me more footage like that, and she ends up getting screwed by Lou, no pun intended. Um, but she also gets to realize holy shit, this person is so sick that they're perfect for a station. Again, I think in a way I think in a way she kind of enables Lou because like she tells her give me what I want and even says to that one news station that's trying to be the moral saying we can't air. It's like I think Lou is just trying to make us reach for more bigger places. Like, may, is she being influenced by Lou by enabling him to go out and take these sensationalist footage, or was she always like this?
It's a good question that I don't
Yeah,
have the
and
answer to.
again that's why going back to what I said, this movie I think has a lot to say and a lot to show, and I always think back on this movie a lot. I think back on this movie a lot.
Well, I do think it definitely has something to say about the state of news media, like we've already talked
It
about,
does, yeah.
which that's something I do like about this movie. And I guess before we probably go any further, as somebody who did not like this movie that much, I would like to talk a little bit about the things I do like about this movie. So that way, it doesn't feel like I'm just hating on a movie for just because.
Yeah.
Because that's always an important thing to me. It's like, well, if you don't like a movie, I always kind of want to be like, okay, what's like one thing I liked about this movie? I have a few things I liked about this movie actually. One, I liked the very realistic, gritty, almost 2000s style cinematography.
Oh yeah.
Made the world feel more real, and it made the world feel more believable. Compared to the cartoon characters that populate it. That's a joke.
I know. I know.
um, uh, uh, I also, like we talked about before, I liked Riz Ahmed's character, Rick. I thought, and I will say, I do think the acting performances across the board are pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Even if there's not a lot, you know, even if I don't think there's a lot to a lot of these characters, I still feel like the actors do a pretty good job.
Yeah,
Um,
Gyllenhaal was actually nominated for a BAFTA award, a Screen Actors Guild award, and a Golden Globe and a Critics' Choice award. But he didn't get
for this
nominated
movie,
for best act. He didn't get nominated for an actor. He got nominated for every award except the Oscars.
that's funny. Um, but yeah, I at least see what they're trying to go for. I just think they didn't execute it well.
Yeah.
But
This movie actually made me love Jake Gyllenhaal as an actor. No homo.
I was actually thinking today because wasn't Jake Gyllenhaal the lead actor in Source Code?
I have not seen that movie yet. I want to see it. No spoilers,
If
please.
yeah, if I'm remembering correctly, that he was the lead in that movie, and that movie is really good, a lot better than this one. Um,
Ah, I'll be the
um,
judge of that. Um, Tim, even though you didn't like it, what did you like about the movie? What stuff did you have to say about this?
we're positivity now. Time now, Tim.
It's a little,
Just one thing that you liked about the movie, just one thing.
I don't know. It's like the just working in video production and news aspect of it, I suppose.
That's true. That's true. Uh, but I do understand. I guess even though I've been the positive guy, I might as well be some negatives and be like, I do wish we got to see like more of the impact of of how did Lou affect the world aside from just the news station, and like are more and more people genuinely afraid or anything. But I guess the movie just wanted to focus on Lou climbing the ladders. But that's all I got for Nightcrawler. Oh, and did we mention the score? Because I mentioned the score for that one scene where he's adjusting the body. Because like it's all optimistic and upbeat despite how
Yeah,
dark the
I thought,
situation.
I thought the score was fine. There wasn't any particular point where I'm like, wow, that's a good score. I thought it did its job.
Mm-hmm.
It did its job.
All right. But yeah, that's all I got to say about Nightcrawler. I'm sorry you guys were very disappointed in the movie. I personally love this movie, and I think it's a
How
really excellent
dare
movie.
you recommend this movie to us?
I swear to
How
God,
dare you?
hopefully I'll recommend better movies like Drive.
Uh,
Mm.
but you know what? Despite me and Tim not liking it, to anybody who's listening to this, please go watch the movie for yourself and make up your own opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
you've heard my opinion, you've heard Tim's opinion, you've heard Drew's opinion. Tell us, comment section. What do you think of this movie? Did you guys enjoy it? Did you dislike it? Who is in the right? Who is in the wrong? Do you agree with anything we said? Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah,
And
or do you think we're all a bunch of idiots?
yeah, yeah. Do we have any
Did
final
Tim leave?
closing thoughts? Oh shit, Tim's gone. Oh,
Nope, there he is.
he's back. He's back. But now, Tim, Tim, you gotta say goodbye to the viewers at least, please. Oh my gosh.
wait,
There
wait,
he
You
is.
okay, Tim?
are we still recording?
Yeah, we're still
Yes,
going. We're still going.
Sorry, my browser fucked with me, so
It's all
it's all
good.
right.
Do we have? I guess that's. I did. I think that's a. Do we have any other closing thoughts, or is that like the best note to go out on?
yeah,
Uh,
one more thing. You said, hey Drew, you rented that movie, right?
yeah.
Next time pirate it. Save yourself a couple bucks.
I'm
Aw,
not pirating any
Tim.
movies. I'm not pirating any
Tim.
movies.
That is the most brutal I've ever heard you say something, man. Like, I don't agree with that, but I respect that. That is just.
Trust me, my
Man, I'm gonna need some
brother-in-law
ice for
pirates,
that burn, bro. I'm gonna
brother-in-law
need some
pirate
fucking
everything
ice.
all the time. So yeah, so
Wait, what?
I blame him, even though like he's got some money, but he chooses to pirate stuff. And
in Roblox, feds were obviously talking about a Minecraft roleplay server where we pretend to be internet pirates.
Guys, I'm just gonna say right now, we're still recording, and you should probably be careful about what you admit to when we're recording.
I have killed people in
Because
Minecraft. Sorry.
Because if this does well, you could probably get in some trouble if you admit to pirating things online. Just saying.
Shim is obviously talking about a Roblox roleplay server. We LARP as internet pirates. We haven't opened it up to the public yet. We're still testing out the bugs and everything. Anyways, this has been the Movie Mortis Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, give it a thumbs up. And once again, do tell us in the comments below what you thought of this episode, what you thought of this movie or whatever. We'll see you all in another video.